hop uncensored, viral breaking news. Oh God and Sammy, two stand-up dudes, raw and uncut interviews. Feed the culture in the world, ever changing. The brothers bringing you closer. Mikey tapped in, hottest unbiased content. Like, share, subscribe, leave your thoughts in the comments. Screaming the truth louder than they scream the lies. Unplugged from the matrix, support my God. Podcast that bypass the test of time. Hip hop uncensored, here to open your mind. Bringing you the latest from the world of entertainment. It's time to get into it. Y'all ready? Let's do it.
Welcome to another episode of the Hip Hop Uncensored Podcast. I'm your brother, O God, from Hip Hop News Uncensored, and sitting across from me is my co-host.
What up, y'all? It's your man, Sam, and CEO of Viral Hip Hop News. You're in the building for a very special edition of the Hip Hop Uncensored Podcast. We got a special guest this morning, Gregg Marcel Dixon, former candidate of the South Carolina Congressional District 6. How you doing, brother? Good morning.
I'm doing well. I just want to correct, I'm a current candidate. I'm running again.
My man, that's what's up. Current candidate.
Yes.
So talk about the election that just passed a couple months ago. We've seen you really pushing on the campaign trail to get elected. I believe you were going against Mr. Claiborne, if I'm not mistaken. How was that, man? Talk about your experience doing running and what made you motivated to run again?
I was running against James Clyburn, and the reason that I ran is, one, I did research and found out that this man has been in office for 30 years. And yet his district, where I live in South Carolina, it is a rural district that goes from the coast of South Carolina and goes to the center of the state. It's a majority black district, somewhere between 49 to 60% black. The census undercounts us, so no one really knows, but it's definitely majority black. It's the sixth poorest district in the United States of America. We have 435 districts total. And after 30 years, his majority black district is the sixth poorest. It has the most toxic water quality in the nation. It is ground zero for black land theft. It has some of the worst schools in the nation. In fact, they have a whole region of his district. They gave it a name. It's called the Corridor of Shame. It refers to a set of majority black rural counties. I grew up in such a county. I still live in such a county. I've taught for nearly 20 years in such a county, called the Corridor of Shame, where the poverty is off the charts and school failure is endemic, meaning it's long lasting. His district has the highest eviction rate. After 30 years in power, my people, descendants of American slaves, I'm not talking about all black people. I'm talking about those who are descendants of the people that built this nation, as am I. We deserve better, but we weren't getting better. Illegal immigrants are getting better. Ukrainians are getting better. Native Americans are getting better. Asian Americans are getting better. White Americans are getting better. I don't have anything with those groups who are Americans. Illegal immigrants, you shouldn't be here. You got to go. But white Americans, Asian Americans, whatever, you can do things for them. Fine by me. But don't you dare deny the people to whom this nation owes the most. He's been denying us, so he has to go too.
So why do you think that, I believe you what you say about all the conditions and everything 100%. Why do people continue to vote this guy in if everything is so, bad in that area? Are they ignorant to it? They don't care? What's your opinion on that?
It's a combination of all of the above and more. One, there are some people who are completely oblivious. Okay. You put a frog in a pot of water and you put that pot on the stove and you turn on the heat. That frog will not even realize the water is getting hot until it's too late. Because we as Black Americans went through chattel slavery, which was unbelievably brutal and demonic, we will never know all the horrible things that were done to our people. My great-grandmother died at age 101. She died in 2015 when I was 31 years of age. She helped raise me. She was raised by her grandparents. My great-grandfather, who died in the 1940s, was a former slave, enslaved on a rice plantation down here in South Carolina. So this whole slavery was a long time ago? No. I was literally raised and fed and loved by a woman who was raised by a person who was formerly enslaved, who just died in 2015. So because we've been through so much worse as a people, we think because we can now buy a laptop, buy a car, buy a house, drive a car, go to a nightclub, we swear we got it going on. We don't got nothing. First of all, we went from having 19 million acres in 1910 to now 1 million. That's all the land we own in a country we built. White Americans, illegal immigrants own more land than us in a country we built. We have less homes now than we did during Jim Crow. But you let some of us tell it, people our age, we think we got it going on because we can toast it up and do it for the gram on a nightclub. So one is people are oblivious to just how bad we are doing. We don't realize that we are somewhere between 15 to 20% of the population, but we are 60% of this nation's homelessness. Our wealth is heading down. COVID-19 came and wiped out 50% of our businesses. We don't all feel it the same, but we're all going to if we don't wake up. So that's one, obliviousness. Two, it's the older people who keep voting this man in because they went through Jim Crow. So they remember the days of blacks going to the back of a restaurant. They remember the days of Black Americans being denied entry just because they were Black. And because they don't see no Negroes allowed signs on doors anymore, they swear we have seen progress. Yeah, if you're my great-grandmother's age, you've seen some progress in your life. If you're my age or my parents' age, you've seen no progress. You've actually seen us regress. You've seen our leaders murdered. You've seen us lose land. You've seen the Black Wall Streets disappear. You've seen things that were promised to us not come to fruition. Number three, a lot of us do not vote, and I'm not here to criticize us for not doing it. We are the people that have had the least amount of reasons to vote. We have not had candidates offer things that are going to specifically address our issues. I ain't talking about no Black issues. I'm talking about descendant of American slaves. We are all not Black the same. A person who moves here from Jamaica does not have the same history and connection to this country as a person whose ancestors has been here since at least the mid-1700s. So I am running on a platform of specifically making this nation do what it should have goddamn did the moment we stepped off the plantations in 1865. Pay us the reparations we are owed. That doesn't cost a single cent of our tax dollars. It will actually cause this nation to get back the $20 trillion this country has lost since the year 2000 for not paying us our reparations. So that's why I'm here to do this interview and trying to get my name out there. I don't have the money. I don't have the connection, but what I do have is the policies. And what I do have is a determination. I'll be damned if I just sit back and watch them give illegal immigrants food and housing and cars while my damn people are on the streets. I'll be damned if I'm gonna sit back and allow it. Maybe the rest of us are okay with it, but not me.
Can you, for the people, explain exactly what the Congressional Black Caucus is and how detrimental, if you feel it has been, to our people?
A bunch of coons, and I'm standing on that. A bunch of coons, a bunch of them. Some may not be coons, but they're setups, and that makes you just as bad as a coon. You go to the Hispanic Caucus's website, and they say they are just there to make the lives of Hispanic and Latinos better. What they don't tell you is they mean the lives of white Hispanic and Latinos. We know they don't give a damn about Afro-Latinos. You can see that. Did you not hear the recording that happened in California where those anti-Black Hispanic bigots were sitting up in a room like some white people back in the days of the 1950s talking about how they want to keep the Blacks out and deprive the Blacks of power? That's how a majority of Hispanic and Latinos feel about Black Americans. All you got to do is go to Latin America and see the way they treat Afro-Latinos. But when you go to the Hispanic Caucus, they talk about how they want to do things to make the life of Hispanic and Latinos better. You go to the Asian American and Pacific Islander Caucus, and they talk about how they want to make the lives of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders better. You go to the Bureau of Indian Affairs, they talk about how they are there to make sure Native Americans have a better life. You go to the Black Caucus, and all of a sudden, they talk about Black and brown and marginalized communities. Excuse me? Your job is to focus specifically on us. And when I say us, I'm not talking about no black immigrants. I'm talking about the descendants of American slaves, the people who were promised 40 acres and a mule, but all we got was 40 years and plus some of the worst treatment in recorded human history by our own government. We have yet to get paid what we're supposed to. They're sitting there talking about dreamers, illegal immigrants who that president, y'all's president, Obama, he gave them protected class citizenship. They're talking about how the dreamers deserve to get citizenship and protection. They need protection. What about us? We don't get protection? Who's protecting Black Americans? Who's protecting Jackson, Mississippi doesn't even have clean water? Who's protecting George Floyd and the countless other black, mainly black men who are getting gunned down and hurt by police officers? Who's protecting us when we're in the streets? Who's protecting us when COVID-19 wiped out 50% of black businesses? They are a part of the problem, and I blame us too. You know why I blame us? Because we think a black face means black progress. We think that because I vote for you and you get a nice job, somehow we all should celebrate. I ain't celebrating nothing. I don't care about having a black face in power. I care about black policies being done by the people in power. The Congressional Slack Caucus has failed to do that, and I stand on everything I said. A bunch of coons, and ain't no one gonna make me take back what I'm saying.
Now, I don't know if you did you have an opportunity to debate? Did you have a debate, a forum?
No, he ran from me. He ran from me because he knew I would eviscerate him on that stage. So he ran and avoided it like a coward. And people say, oh, respect your elders. No, he is not my elder. He's my employee. He works for me. When I used to call his office, I would say, yes, I want to speak to my employee. Where is he? And the people would say, your employee? Who's your employee? Who are you talking about? James Clyburn, he works for me. May I speak with him? That's the attitude we have to have. But you see, we have failed to hold politicians accountable. Barack Obama shows up and we want to take pictures with him. We want to get his autograph so we can say, look who I met today. That is not how you're supposed to treat a politician. They work for us. The only thing we are supposed to ask a politician when we see them is, what have you done for me lately? Janet Jackson. Ooh, yeah. That's what we're supposed to do. When you see a politician, you say, what have you done for me lately? That's it. Clyburn ran and avoided debating me because he is smart enough to know if he and I were on a stage together, he will actually have to answer for his 30 years of failure. And then the people who vote for him, they will wake up and say, wait a minute, this guy, he's right. This guy ain't been doing nothing for us. They now, because Clyburn doesn't do that, people blame the Republicans. People blame everyone else but him. When something good happens, he gets all the credit for it. But somehow, when something bad happens, he's not to blame. You can't have it both ways. If you want credit for the good, then you're going to take responsibility for the bad. Because he hasn't ever debated. He hasn't debated, and I don't think he's ever debated since being in office since 1993. I don't think he's had a debate since then. 1992, actually. I don't think he's ever been on the debate stage. I can get on stage and call him out for his failure of a record and how it's not that if he tried to do the things that we deserve, it would have worked. But you are a leader. You're supposed to try. You're supposed to get out there and push the policies that we deserve. He has not even tried. But this is the same man. Seeing that the Gullah Geechee, and you don't know Gullah Geechee, we are a Creole group of people who live on this coast in the Sea Islands of South Carolina and Georgia, also Florida and North Carolina a little too. They've been stealing our land for decades, centuries actually. He has done nothing to address that, but he wrote a bill to give land to a group of Native Americans called the Catawba. It's only 3,000 of them in South Carolina compared to almost 2 million Black people in South Carolina. He wrote a bill to give these Native Americans who used to own slaves. Not only did they used to own slaves, they were slave hunters. They were so brutal that sometimes Black people would have rather been enslaved by the white people than them. He wrote a bill to give them land, but he's done nothing. He hasn't even lifted a finger to try to give us land. If I'm on stage with him, I'm able to call him out. He knew that, so he didn't agree to a debate when me and the other candidate, Dr. Michael Addison, when we both said we agreed to a debate, just name the time and date, he wouldn't do it because he would have to be held accountable for his piss poor record.
I'm going to speak on reparations real quick. Now, I'm going to say 2 years ago, we had on Miss Jane Elliott. I don't know if you're familiar with Jane Elliott.
I don't like her.
Yes, sir. So we asked her about reparations. And she said at the time that she may say some things that Black America would not be happy with. She said that, yes, we deserve reparations, but before we do, it is supposed to be given to the original Indian on this land. Hearing what you just articulated, I would love to know your thoughts on what Miss Jane Elliott had to say in regards to reparations and your thoughts on the entire thing.
Miss Jane Elliott, shut your goddamn mouth. My great-grandmother, how dare you talk about what you think should happen? It was my people. You know, before cotton was king, rice wore the crown. The Gullah Geechee people, it was rice. That was the first source of wealth for the British colonies. Okay? Charleston, South Carolina. I'm in a town called Ridgeland. It's like an hour from Charleston. But Charleston, South Carolina was the richest place in the world because of the rice that our people knew how to grow. Okay? We are the ones that laid the railroad tracks. Not only did we lay the railroad track and built the cities and drained the swamps, we also invented things like wireless communication between moving trains. We also, people don't know this. People say Samuel Morse invented the telegram. There was a Black guy with him. I forgot his first. I think his name was Solomon Ferguson. He helped him invent the telegram. Lewis Latimer installed some of the first electrical grids in the world. How dare some white woman, because she did a doll test in the 1960s, think that she has the right to tell us we need to wait? Native Americans, right? First of all, they owned slaves too. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how Native Americans owned slaves, and they were just as brutal as the white man was. We always talk about white people and what they did. Native Americans owned slaves too. The U.S. military had to force them to stop enslaving Black people. They would set their slaves on fire. They would chop them apart. So, and I'm supposed to wait for them to get reparations? Hold on. Right now, as we speak, they have reservations. And I know it may not be the best land in the world, but you see them trying to give it up. Do you hear Native Americans trying to give up all that land? Hey, we'll take it. If the land's so bad, give it up. You don't see them doing that, do you? There are, some of them get direct cash payments. Some of them get free health care. They have tax exemption status. Some of them make so much money from those casinos that one tribe, as a few of them actually, they give $1 million cash to every single member, not of their family, but of their tribe. $1 million cash. Do you hear the Native Americans offering us any of those $1 million, even though they enslaved us too? Do you, right now, in this administration, underneath that, y'all's president, Joe Crow, who's a lifelong segregationist and anti-Black bigot, he ain't mine. That bigot has given historical levels of funding for Native Americans. They've gotten more money from the government than they've gotten in history. I don't know. Did y'all get a phone call from any Native Americans say, hey, man, we're going to think about y'all too, because y'all was in the struggle with us too. Have y'all gotten that phone call? No, I don't see no phone call. So Jane Elliott can shut her damn mouth. No one includes Black Americans in nothing. When Japanese Americans got reparations because they were in the concentration camp, did they call up Black Americans and say, hey, y'all, you know what? If it wasn't for y'all fighting for the civil rights, we would have never gotten these reparations. We're going to give you some too. No. When the Holocaust survivors, my great-grandfather is still alive, okay? He's 98 years old. He never returned to South Carolina because of all the horror he went through here. He's in New York City. He's a World War II vet. He still it still causes strong emotions in him, thinking about how when he came back from World War II, he saw his brothers and sisters being hung with American flags, having their uniforms stripped off them naked. He still remembers that. He still remembers seeing the white men that he fought alongside giving thousands and millions of dollars to go to college, to buy a home, to get a car, to get health care. He saw how they were able to leave wealth for their children, while when my grandmother, his daughter, was born, he couldn't leave her a damn bowl of rice. Do you hear the Jews that my great-grandfather helped save? Do you hear them calling him up to ask him, or to ask my grandmother who's now dead, or to ask my father who grew up in heartbreaking poverty here in South Carolina? Do you hear them calling me or my siblings or my mother saying to us, we gonna give y'all some money because y'all looked out for us? Why is it that when these other groups get things, it's okay for them to focus on themselves, but somehow before we get things, we gotta go, well, what about this group? What about that group? Ban that. It's only about us. Jane Elliott, shut your mouth. Now
you're part of the Democratic. Are you part of the Democratic Party? Am I correct?
I ran as a Democrat because they are the people that get our votes. I am not a Democrat. I am not a Republican. I'm not a Libertarian, Green Party. I am a reparationist. That's me. That's my identity. I only ran underneath the Democratic Party because that's the party for whom our people vote. So because they get 85 to 95% of our people's vote, they are the party responsible for us. And so I want to go to where my people are. I'm not going to abandon my people. So when I go to in South Carolina, 70%, 7 out of every 10 Democrats is Black in South Carolina. So that's where my people are. My people need to hear how they are being abused and taken advantage of. This is not saying my people are stupid, but my people are being deceived. The same way the devil took the form of a snake and deceived Eve. And then her idiot Adam, I don't know what Eve was giving him in that garden. Must have been good because he went ahead and bit that damn fruit too. And now look the hell we in. The same way the devil deceived Eve, the Democrats are deceiving my people. And then when we call out the Democrats about how we've been voting for them for 60 years, and we are now almost landless, we are 60% of the homeless and growing. Our wealth is heading to zero. Matter of fact, 30% of Black families have a negative net worth. Do y'all know? That means not only do they have zero wealth, they're negative. So meaning if they got wealth, it would just simply be bringing them out the hole. It wouldn't be any wealth for them. 30%. This is what we've been getting after 60 years of voting for the Democrats. But Ukrainians are getting billions of dollars right now. Yeah. Afghani refugees. Remember the Afghani refugees? They brought over hundreds of thousands of them. They've got homes and cars and jobs and food. Oh, illegal immigrants. You see what's going on in New York City? They threw out Black Americans out in the street and they made luxurious sofas and flat screen TVs and Xbox 5 or 6, whatever number it is, and food and Pilates classes and kickboxing classes, you name it, for illegal immigrants. We are the ones that keep this party in power. Without the Black vote, the Democrats will not exist. So when I come to you about how my people are being treated, don't you goddamn tell me about what the Republicans are doing. I ain't voting for the Republicans. If you tell me the Republicans are the bad guys and you say they're not going to do nothing for me, then when I come to you about what you're going to do for me, what sense does it make for you to say to me, what about the Republicans? You just told me they're the bad guys. So why are you telling me to go to them when you're the one who says vote for you because you're the good guy? So they have the responsibility. That's the only reason I'm running as a Democrat, because I'm not going to abandon my people.
Your policy on reparations, we spoke about it a lot here on this show for a number of years. I would like to know your thoughts or your plans, if in fact you are elected, on how you would allocate reparations to Black America and who those Black Americans in particular would be, and how you do that.
Good question, because the first thing mention reparations, and you can I expect white Americans to act like this because I'm not surprised. Right. But you get some Black people, the debt, F you into that. You don't worry about the debt when you're spending trillions of dollars to go to war in Afghanistan. Where's the debt? The debt. When you're going to war in Iraq, you weren't worried about the trillions you spent then. The debt. When you bailed out the airline industry, when you bailed out the housing industry, the banking industry, when you bailed out AIG, when you bailed out Bank of America, when you sent out stimulus checks, when you did the PPP loans, trillions of dollars that they're now forgiving, by the way. They're not even making people paying it back. When you did the vaccines, trillions of dollars or billions of dollars to develop the vaccines, distribute them. And at that time, Trump had cut taxes to its lowest level in history, meaning America gave up trillions of dollars that we could have been bringing in taxes. You don't hear anybody worried about the debt. The moment you mention this country's original debt that they owe us, everyone pulls their hair and screams at the sky. The sky is falling, the sky is falling. F you, the sky into that. First of all, my reparations plan, let me be very clear. The federal government does not need tax dollars to spend money. They never have, they never did. Matter of fact, the federal government, because America is a monetary sovereign, America makes its own currency. And that has actually always been used to raise money. When the Great Depression happened, not only did this country buy millions of dollars worth of homes to keep people from going in the street, Roosevelt spent hundreds of billions, today's value would probably be trillions of dollars, to do the New Deal that started a whole millions of jobs in this country. They were paying people left and right, generating money out of thin air to pay people. They did the same thing with the stimulus, okay? They did the same thing with the PPP loans. This country does not need our tax dollars. And actually, when you give money to people, it actually helps to generate more revenue. I want to say that because people like to say, oh, you're going to put this country in debt. I need to address it before I even talk about my reparations plans. Debt is a false scare tactic they use in America. The debt, America only owes itself. America has canceled debt before. Just look at World War I and World War II. America canceled billions, probably trillions of dollars that they could have gotten in debt. America's canceling debt right now, again, in the PPP loans. Debt, or what America does with that, they either cancel it or they do what's called bonds, which is yellow dollars, like around this color here. And people buy bonds, banks, other countries, investment firms, and the American government pays them on it. And when they want to, they simply say, give us back our yellow dollars, we give you green dollars. So debt is used to raise money in America. I must say that because people are always going to say, well, you can't do reparations, it's going to cost too much. Now, here's my plan. My plan calls for every descendant of an American slave, meaning a person who was here at the end of the Civil War Emancipation Proclamation, to get direct monetary payments. The amount that my team and I have generated from studying is $2.8 million per person. However, we won't get that in a lump sum. What we will get are 2.8 million US bonds, yellow dollars. And what the federal government will do, they will pay us interest on those yellow dollars. So instead of getting one lump sum, we will be getting lifetime payments every month, all the time, into perpetuity as when we have those U.S. bonds. That's my plan. My plan calls for bringing back the Freedmen's Bureau. The first Freedmen's Bureau was established to provide for the needs of people who were formerly enslaved and some white refugees. But freedmen is a political classification that only belongs to descendants of American slaves who were here at the end of the Emancipation Proclamation. The Freedmen's Bureau is going to be the branch of the government. They're going to be separate from the government. The government is going to fund them, but it's going to be independently operated by us. They're going to oversee everything, our direct monetary payments, us getting compensation for the land that's been stolen, helping us to get back to black farming, because of people who cannot feed themselves is a people who cannot defend themselves. So I want to bring our people back to black farming. They're going to deal with us getting business grants so we can bring back our Black Wall Streets. Everybody acts like Chinatown or Little Mexico's are such a big deal. They ain't nothing. Black Wall Streets, we did Black Wall Streets coming off the plantation. Last time I checked, they didn't build Chinatown coming off a plantation. They built Chinatown with money. They paid the Chinese to finish building the railroads that we had almost done all of. Yeah. And they paid the Chinese. Then they gave the Chinese land. We didn't have nothing given to us. And yet we built not one Black Wall Street. That's one Oklahoma. There were Black Wall Streets throughout this country. California, Virginia, Mississippi, Florida, North Carolina, of course, my native South Carolina. We have Black Wall Streets all over. If you think the Chinatowns are something to be amazed by, wait until we bring back our Black Wall Streets. The Freedmen's Bureau is going to handle all of that. The government will not be over us. They would simply finance the Freedmen's Bureau, and the Freedmen's Bureau will be financed by us. The Freedmen's Bureau is going to handle bringing back our Freedmen hospitals. Black women Black women, and I'm very passionate about this, and this is what killed my grandmother. Black women are more likely to die giving birth to a child than women in Afghanistan, Syria, and Iraq. If that sounds surprising to you, it should be disgusting, but it's not a surprise to me. If you are a woman and you're pregnant with a child, you are more likely to live giving birth to a child in Afghanistan, right now, war-torn Afghanistan, that really doesn't have any medical infrastructure, than you are in America. When a Black woman has a Black doctor, that rate drops almost non-existent. My grandmother was given bad blood in the 1960s when she gave birth to my third uncle. She would live, but the bad blood ruined her liver and kidneys. I saw my grandmother go through excruciating pain. I would see her collapse. One time she fell and hit her head so bad she knocked out 2 of her teeth, all because they didn't see her as a human being, and they put bad blood in her. Freeman hospitals that no one ever goes through the pain that my mother, you mentioned my grandmother, to my mother still breaks out in tears. And it was 30-something years ago now that my grandmother's been dead. Bring back Freeman Hospital so we can take care of our own people. Bring back Freeman schools so we don't have our kids getting. I was a teacher for 20 years, and I am unapologetically a tough teacher. But you can look at my data and see kids that came to me, only 20% can read on grade level. By the time I'm done, 70 to 80% are reading on grade level. I keep my paperwork. So Clyburn, when you want to do your little commercials about me being a tough teacher, first of all, I ain't a backing down. I don't care if any Karen out there felt I was too tough for their child. Get over it. I want you to attack my record as a teacher. That's something I would love to bring to the public because I'm proud. I have awards and bonuses and letters from parents galore and surveys to show my record as a teacher. I want us to bring back our Freeman schools so we can teach our own students. I want us to have land like Native Americans have reservation systems. I want there to be land federally allocated to Black Americans in every state just for our people. So my plan is called A Better Deal for Black America. Those are the gist of it. And you can read more about it on my website at marcelforcongress.com.
What's your plan to deal with police brutality, in particular in the Black community, and how, you know, we view the police and how the police engage us?
I was waiting for someone to ask me that question. Well, one plan is shoot back. You see, we have to understand the Constitution gives us the right to protect ourselves. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. No one has a right to deprive us of that. I'm not saying to some rapist, murdering bum, if the police officer shoots and kills them, hey, good riddance, you did a good job. Thank you so much. But a Black man who's coming back from grocery shopping with his beautiful girlfriend and her beautiful daughter in the back seat, and he goes to show you his license, we are not under obligation to sit there and be used as target practice. How many stories have we seen where some police departments are using the faces of Black men for target practice? Remember back in the old days, there used to be a game called Shoot a Nigga Baby. And you think I'm lying, look it up. There used to be a famous game at fairs in this country called Shoot a Nigga Baby, but they used to use Black people for target practice, darts, and whatever. It hasn't changed. Some of the grandchildren of those people, some of their children are now the police officers today. Am I saying all police officers are bad? No. I've met many police officers in my life, and most have been good guys. But those good guys are not the issue. The fact that not all of them are good guys is the issue. Yo, I'm sorry, this is not live, is it?
No, you go.
Wait, give me 1 second. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay, yeah. So my plan is, one, we have a right to defend ourselves. When police officers, remember, I don't know where, I think it was Arizona or Colorado, when the federal government tried to do something with land in Colorado. Remember those white guys? They set up a fort and they were fighting with police officers. And remember, they got away with it. No one has to tell white men to protect themselves. White men know the Constitution says we have a right to do that. So, excuse me, we built this country. Ain't no one I'm not gonna wait for no one to give me permission to protect myself. So one plan is shoot back. It's better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Now, my second plan, though, my policy now, there needs to be a database, a federal database of police officers that have been expelled and fired from police precincts. So that way they can't simply transfer from one to another. Okay, if you were too dangerous to be with this police precinct, then you're too damn dangerous to be a police officer, period. There needs to be thorough background checks. Police officers they're given a constitutional right to use lethal force if necessary. If you have the authority to hurt or kill someone, you should ask. You should be asking to be held to the highest level of accountability possible. If there is any police officer who wants to have the right to kill someone if necessary, but you don't want anyone questioning you about it, then you don't need to be a police officer. That's a person you don't want having a badge and a gun. My thing is, if you're going to be a police officer, every aspect of your interactions should be liable to some level of scrutiny. So social media, we got to make sure there's no police officer out there associating with these extremist groups. And usually a lot of these hate groups are anti-Black. If you are found to have that, you're not fit to be a police officer ever, ever, ever. There needs to be a better screening process. There needs to be a way to detect in those police officers if there's even any remote hint of anti-Black bias or any sort of bias, okay? And by the way, I'm not talking about just white men. There are Black police officers who don't like Black people, who think Black people are more criminal. When the FBI data shows less, and I need y'all to understand this, I didn't say 1%, less than 1% of the Black community any given year will commit a violent crime. That is FBI supported data. Look it up. But not only that, Black men, almost 60% of the people wrongly arrested and wrongly convicted of a crime are Black men. That's why every single day we can turn on our TVs or look on social media and you see a Black man getting released from prison for a crime he didn't do. So actually, Black people are actually probably the least criminalistic people in this country, but we are the most blamed and most wrongly arrested people in this country because the FBI data doesn't show conviction. It shows arrest, and arrest doesn't mean a person did the crime. And being that Black men and then Black women are the most likely to be wrongly arrested and convicted, any officer out there thinking that they have to be more violent or aggressive with Black people, that's a person who shouldn't hold the badge. My next thing is I want us to have our own police force. Okay, the Black Panthers already showed us the way it should go with us policing ourselves. We love our people. When we go to police our communities, we're not looking for a Negro to kill. We're looking for a Negro to protect and serve. Police officers are here to serve us, not to kill us. Any police officer who goes out there thinking, I'm going to kill somebody today, you're not fit to hold that gun. Your attitude should be, who am I going to serve and protect today? I believe a lot of police officers do have that mentality. Like I said, I've dealt with police officers many times in my life. I've been on the side of the road with a flat tire. You know I ain't about to change it. That's why I got AARP for. So those days we change your tire over. I sit in my car and wait for AARP. The police officer say, hey, I just want to make sure you're good. I say, yeah, I'm good. I remember one time I was coming back from a trip and they had this bad traffic jam on I-95 because I live right off the interstate. I fell asleep in my car and a police officer knocked on my window and woke me up. My mother, when I told my mother about it, she like clutched her chest. She was like, that could have gone bad really quick. Our brother who was in Wendy's sleeping, remember what they did to him? And I was like, you know what, mommy, you're right. I could have just jumped up and he could have shot me. A lot of police officers in my area are white guys, from here, Southern, white, South Carolinian. And this guy, he didn't have his hand on his gun or nothing. He was looking and say, you can go now. So I'm not trying to demonize all police officers, but the fact of the matter is, if one police officer is bad, until we root them out and other police officers root them out, if they know about it, then all of the thing, if one part is bad, then all of it's bad. We have to rule out those bigots. And until we do that, no person can feel safe because you never know when that officer that comes to your car is going to be a good one or a bad one. We should have the peace of mind that all of them are going to operate in a professional manner. I want us to have our own police force. That's my ultimate goal, policing ourselves. But ultimately, y'all, the way to deal with police brutality is, one, we have to change the Constitution. The Constitution gives police officers a constitutional right to use force. But here's the thing that we don't realize. The Constitution pretty much says that they cannot knowingly deprive a person of their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. If any of us know any little thing about the courtroom, it's hard to prove intent. It's hard to say a person deliberately did this. We need to change that from knowingly to recklessly. That means whether you meant to do it or not, you should have known better. So that is my ultimate goal. Us having our own police force, improving screening methods, a federal database, and eventually dealing with the issues that cause Black communities in particular to be over-policed, which deals with anti-Black American hate, but also deals with issues of poverty, neglect, things of that matter.
I want to transition to hip hop and the culture of hip hop, and as it pertains to how hip hop is influenced with political parties, elections, and things like that. Now, we also speak about how it seems as though a lot of parties use our hip hop influence to manipulate, influence whatever you want to use our people into voting for them. Hearing your message and hearing what you are articulating, it would seem as though, from what you hear out here on social media, that a lot of your ideals match a lot of the Black celebrities' ideals from what they put on social media. But then we see them and how they kind of vouch for certain people that don't really fit our ideals, and it makes you kind of look a different way. How have people, if any, within South Carolina, wherever the case may be, has anybody ever reached out to you in support? Because obviously campaigning involves a lot of money, dollars, and things like that. That's how these people win. So has anybody from South Carolina, throughout, whatever the case may be, within our culture reached out and said, you know what, Mr. Dixon, I fuck with what you're saying. Let's rock.
Well, I had never even voted before in my life until 2020. And the only reason I voted in 2020 was just to not vote for Clyburn and Joe Crow. I wrote in reparations. That's the only time. Before then, my family's background, my mother and my grandmother and one of my great-grandmothers, a lot of people in my family are Jehovah's Witnesses. So I always stayed out of politics because of the Jehovah's Witnesses studying the Bible. They believe we should be preparing for God's kingdom and preaching those ideals now. I have been politically inactive for the longest. I started with just 6 months left in the campaign. If you know politics, that's almost no time at all. I had no money, never ran for office. No one knew me. I was a quiet, small town teacher in a swampy coastal part of rural South Carolina. So I was brand new. So I say that to say that some people are still learning about me. Even people in my town are still learning about me. However, some, like Charlemagne the Fraud is from Charleston, a suburb right outside of Charleston. He knows about me. He's very active in my area. He's from the Low Country. He's from the Low Country. I'm from the Low Country. He definitely knows about me. He could have reached out to me. I'm not entitled to his support, of course, but this is a man who always talks about he's of the streets meets the radio, blah, 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 blah. That man never once mentioned me. You know why? Because he's a coward. He's afraid of pissing off Joe Crow or Kamala Harris. He wants to brag about being able to get big names on his radio shows. Look at me. I got the president coming to me. So because of that, he knows that if he had me on his show, James Clyburn would have thrown a fit. And then Joe Crow, the guy who raised the crackhead, and Kamala Harris, and I mean what I say, that man locked up millions of Black Americans for just smoking marijuana. But his son's out here doing crack and hasn't seen the day behind bars. So I mean what I say. I want to be very clear. So when I say some people have not reached out to me, some just don't know about me, but some, like Charlemagne the Fraud, knows about me, and they're just afraid of what connections they will lose by having someone like me on this show. Because people who are well connected within the Democratic Party will say, why did you have him on? And they'll never come back on his show, and he won't be able to get these big political names. So then you have people like Lotto, Cardi, Megan Thee Stallion talking about WAP with Hillary Clinton. Nobody care about all of that. Dry your WAP out, put your pants on, stand up straight, and let's talk about Jackson, Mississippi. Let's talk about our people losing their land. Let's talk about our people only having 48% home ownership while other groups are in the 60s and 70s and 80s. And we built the country. Can we talk about something of substance? Stacey Abrams holding up a sign, "My body, my choice." Let me tell y'all something. I've spoken to thousands of voters, and I don't support abortion at all. I believe we need to be making life better for black babies to come into. They used to take our black babies from us and feed them to alligators. They've always gone after our children even before they were born. However, the average black woman I've spoken with, they ain't thinking about no damn abortion. They're thinking about, I want to have a nice home for my children to live in. I want my kids to go to good schools. I want to have land so my kids can inherit. We know this country owes us, pay us. All they want black people to do is kill our babies, shut up, and vote for the Democrats and don't ask for anything, while other groups, Asians, get a crime bill to protect them. Hispanics get illegal immigrants becoming citizens, which I am strongly against. So a lot of these hip hop artists are sellouts. When you said a lot of them feel the way I feel, I was about to ask you, is Tupac still alive? Because he's one of the main artists. If he was alive today, I am sure, if he knew about me, would probably have supported me, because he used to talk this type of stuff all the time. But the day, if we had artists like Nina Simone, well, she's not hip hop, but one of my favorite artists, Nina Simone, artists who were willing to stand on what they said and didn't back down. I think we still have a lot of artists who feel that way, but I don't think they're the popular ones. These popular artists, the JCs and the JC in particular, they sell out. They've sold out. They think them being successful is reparations for us, because he could smoke a cigar and go and have lunch with the NFL owners. He thinks that means we good. He thinks we should aspire to be like him. Ain't nobody want to be like you. What we want and what we deserve are our reparations. And it is unforgivable for any person who's a descendant of American slave, any black person, even a black immigrant who's come to this country, any immigrant, because you're only able to do that because of black Americans. Any black person that's made it in this country, you've only made it because other black Americans fought and died and sacrificed. You show me any black American that's made it, and I will show you a whole community of black Americans who somehow supported them along the way, fed them, loved them, gave them words of encouragement, protected them. And for you to think that because you made it, your responsibility is only to yourself, no. We are people that have always known, if I make it, I ain't made it until all of us have made it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these hip hop artists are sellouts. A lot of them are scared to death, piss pants level scared of losing connections. And the ones like Tupac are unfortunately dead, or the underground artists who may not have the same platform as the bigger name artists.
If you can, I don't know if you can, but if you can, talk about Kanye West. And not only what he said, but a lot of the black people attacking him. I saw Talib Kweli. He was attacking him today, on Instagram. I wrote him a message like, who's paying you? He called me a Nazi and all this crap. But to just talk about that, man, Kanye West and the backlash that he's getting, and particularly from the black community.
First of all, I don't even know who Talib Kweli is. So who? Okay. I mean, more people probably know me than him. I don't know who that is. Don't want to know who that is. Sounds like a coon too. Kanye gets no sympathy from me. You went out there. You slept with that white woman. You had those four, and those children are beautiful. Children are beautiful. Mixed, white, black, whatever. You had those kids from that white woman, and you got the audacity to talk about the black community and support you because that white woman turned on you. Brother, that's your fault, okay? You had a beautiful black girlfriend for many years, and it seemed like as soon as your mother died, all of a sudden you went white. So whatever. I don't care nothing about what he's going through. Kanye can get it for all I care. White lives matter. Okay, your life don't matter to me. Now, no one has to be reminded in this country that white lives matter. That's the problem, actually, in this country. They think only white lives matter, or the closer you get to white, the more your life matters. So what's the point in wearing a shirt saying that? And I know he tried to say there's some poetic meaning. You know, he's so deep. He's so eccentric. We got to figure him out. Ain't nothing to figure out. I know cooning when I see cooning. Okay. Now, this thing about anti-Semitism. Mm-hmm. Let me be very clear about this. And I'm going to stand on this. The Jewish community is not exempt from criticism. And you can't bully me. They put me in a newspaper. The Jerusalem Post is a big newspaper in Israel because I said the Jewish community will not get a pass on anti-blackness. So they tried to bully me. But I guess because I'm poor and broke, ain't nothing you can really take from me. The most dangerous man in America is a broke black man who knows his stuff is on code for his people, because you ain't got much you can take from him financially. And the way to hurt people physically, you can do that, but the way to really hurt people is financially, as we see what they're doing to Kanye. The Jewish community is not exempt from criticism. Okay, there is a history of anti-blackness in the Jewish community. The Jewish community will point to Jews who during the civil rights community were very supportive of Black Americans. But you can't ignore the fact, too, that the Jewish community was just as involved in slavery and the Confederacy as non-Jewish white Americans. The Jewish community, a lot of American Jews, they do criticize the nation of Israel for the issue with Palestine. However, and I agree, there needs to be criticism to that. However, you cannot ignore, though, that there is a history of Israel being anti-Black. If you think I'm lying, look at how they treat Ethiopian Jews and how right now we speak, Ethiopian Jews are always in the streets fighting and protesting about the brutal anti-Blackness that they receive from whiter or white Jews. So no community is exempt. They want to, and then that Doberman picture snouted Sarah Silverman, the one that called herself calling Kanye out. Well, first of all, she was going around wearing blackface, saying the N-word. Here's the one time where I actually probably think blackface is okay, because she was a hell of a lot prettier with blackface on, bitch. Now. Shut your damn mouth. How dare you think you will criticize a descendant of the person who built this nation? I don't like Kanye at all, but you're not going to criticize a descendant of an American slave while you're going around wearing blackface, saying the N-word. She thought she can do that because she feels, oh, I'm a Jewish woman, so everybody knows not to criticize us. Well, you got the right one now. Then Howard Stern. Always look like he's on crack. Always look like one of those Day of the Dead, Dios de los Muertos skeletons the Mexicans like to wear. He's always reminded me of one of those. He's going around wearing blackface, calling out Kanye. You shut your damn mouth too before I go into your town. You see, the problem in our society, the Black Americans who have a big platform, they scared. Yep. Oh, I can't say that because if I say that, I'm gonna lose my magazine. Where's JC? Where is he? Isn't this the guy that always gonna remind every song he reminds us that he sold crack to one of our people? He doesn't go a single rap song without reminding us he sold crack to our people. I thought this was supposed to be gangsters. Where are all these so-called tough rappers calling this out? Why is a person like me who has nothing, no platform, and I'm not from the streets, don't pretend to be from the streets, why am I calling these things out? Where are these rappers calling out people like Fat Joe, excuse me. Where are they calling out people like Fat Joe, that white Latino, Mejorando la Raza, where they believe marrying white or marrying bright so they can get rid of the blackness of Latin America, talk about it was 50-50 hip-hop, Black American, Latino. No, hell no. Yeah, it was 50-50, 50 plus 50, 100% descendant of American slaves. That's only 50-50. Both 50s belong to us. Where are these rappers using their voice? This is when we need them to be hard. It seems like the only time they're tough is when it's time to go and beef with another black rapper. That's the only time they seem to not care about any repercussions. When it's time to go on Charlamagne the Fraud show and talk about another black rapper, then they're tough. Then they don't care. Then they're putting it all on the line. But when it's time to stand up to these anti-black Jews like Sarah Silverman and Howard Stern, they're quiet. When it's time to stand up to white anti-black Latinos like Fat Ho, they have nothing to say. Why is it that some of us are only big and bad and vocal when it's time to go after one of us, but not anyone else? That's the only thing from the Kanye situation I have to say. The Jewish community, you are not exempt from being criticized, and you will not get away with anti-black American hate. So take that as you want. If you are a Jew and you say something bad about my people, I'm going to check you. Okay? And you don't intimidate me. And you rappers who supposed to be so damn tough, who's willing to pull a gun out and get in fight in nightclubs with each other, and next thing you know, it's on World Hip Hop and all these other ratchet things out there. Where's that energy when it comes to standing up for us against other communities? You don't see it anywhere.
One of my final questions. They're definitely a powerful conversation, man. We definitely want to do this again. But I want you to know your opinions on the LGBT community, the movement, and if it has affected the black community at all. I want to know your thoughts on that.
Well, I'm saying gender loving, but I ain't LGBTQ. I don't identify with that's not the LGBTQ community is pretty much Ku Klux Klan with the hood on, rainbow tattoos. That's all the LGBTQ community is. You got the Ku Klux Klan hoodie, that's all white. Then you got the one with rainbow and glitters and unicorns on it, and yes, honey, snap. That's the difference right there. You have white LGBTQ people who love is love. They'll do a TV show, though, and you will see every character, a white man with a white woman, Asian man with an Asian woman. The black man, though, is always gay, very effeminate, and always with a white trans man or something crazy like that. Or they'll have the black woman. She's always going to be heavy set and hairy and masculine. They never want to show black love. It's okay to love everyone and everything except for black love. That's the only love they're never okay with. So the LGBTQ community, which I don't view that as a community, but you're talking about white LGBTQ people, they are not allies. We have none. They advance laws to protect LGBTQ people, but where are they when we're fighting for reparations? Where are they when Black Americans have lost 16 to 19 million acres of land? Do y'all know how much money that is? They did 12 counties, Georgia, North Carolina, Alabama. They did a sample of 12 counties per those three states, 12 from Georgia, 12 North Carolina, 12 from Alabama. They did all the land that Black Americans owned, and it was worth $700 million. It was like tens of thousands of acres. We've had stolen 16 to 19 million acres. That's trillions of dollars that we have stolen from us. Do you hear the LGBT community say nothing about that? No. But right now, they're pushing all these protection programs for LGBTQ people. I don't condone hatred towards anyone. Right. Anti-Semitism is wrong. Homophobia is wrong. Anti-Asian hate is wrong. Hating someone because they're white is wrong. Sexism is wrong. Everyone will say that with no problem. You say anti-blackness is wrong. Scared Negro talk. You know, Negroes start doing the Parkinson shiver. Like my grand uncle used to do because he was traumatized when he saw in the Korean War. Okay? We have no allies. And the LGBTQ community, because, you know, coons exist, there's heterosexual black coons and there's homosexual coons. So what they do is they'll take a gay black man or woman and they'll put them on the front and they say things like, straight black men are the white people of black people. Snap, girl, snap, slave. They're not our allies. There's no more to say about that. I don't care if you're LGBTQ heterosexual. If you're not for me and my people, you are against my people and I. And I don't that's equality. That's equality. I don't discriminate. If you are against my people, heterosexual, homosexual, you are against me. That's equality. I have nothing more to say about that.
Yes, sir. Had Gregg Marcel Dixon on the Hip Hop and Censor podcast. Shout out to everyone out there that happens to listen to this. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell. Hey, brother, we definitely appreciate your time. Definitely appreciate your wisdom.
Yes, sir.
And your unapologetic opinions on everything you just dropped, man. It's been an absolute honor. Do me a favor before we get up out of here. Let the people know where they can find you, how they can support you, and how they can forward look for your movement.
MarcelForCongress.com. You can donate on there. You can purchase merchandise on there. You can read my platform on there. My platform is a living, breathing platform. I mean, add to it. I doubt I'm going to take away, but you can read about me on there. You can read my biography on there, but please sure to donate because I'm unapologetically for our people. I don't mince words. I'm not afraid to call out other communities, things that these tough rappers like JC should be doing. They leaving it to a person who has no protection to do. Well, I got protection. Run up on me. You gonna see and feel the protection I got. So don't try me. But anyway, though, because I am like this, I don't get these big organizations endorsing me and stuff like that. Because now, if I was running on an LGBTQ platform, I'll be having millions of dollars being sent to me. If I was running on a platform and saying, Black woman, abort your babies, which, by the way, that's not just your baby. That's a Black man's baby, too. So Black man, Black woman, kill your babies. They will be giving me millions of dollars. They want our babies to die. If I was running on a platform like healthcare for everyone, which I do support, but I'm focusing on us. I have other things on my plan. I do. But my main thing is making this country repair the damage they did to us, which will help this country. People don't want to support me because the worst thing you can do in America is to be a Black man, you Black woman, but a Black man especially, who's unapologetically for your people. So any donations I get is going to help me because it's not going to come from these organizations. They actually will love it if I went away.
We appreciate it.
And those who are in the DC area, I'll be there November 5th at a reparations rally that y'all might know Tariq Nasheed.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Tariq Nasheed's doing a reparations rally November 5th. It's probably going to be pretty big. So I will be there. I'm one of the features. He has a long line of featured speakers. I will be one of them. And I like to meet people there too. So MarcelForCongress.com. And if you're in the DMV area, come to DC at Freedom Plaza. I'll be doing a speech there, probably in front of my largest audience yet, about reparations and other matters in this country as it pertains to us.
Brother, we appreciate you, man.
Yes,
thank you all for having me.
You, man. Shout out to Maurice Duncan for, plugging us in with you, man. And we definitely appreciate you. Do your thing out in DC. Keep doing the thing out here in South Carolina and beyond, brother. And you got our support, man. Take care.
Thank y'all so much. Y'all take care.
All right, brother.